Life surprises us sometimes in the most unexpected ways. For Lisa, this day would change everything. Lisa had always loved animals. From childhood, she found solace in dogs, each of whom left their paw print on her heart. But nothing had prepared her for what was to come. It began one overcast afternoon as Lisa was driving home from work. Rain pattered on the windshield, and everything outside looked gray and dead. But then she spotted something. A lone, trembling golden retriever on the side of the road. Lisa's heart clenched. She couldn't just drive by. She parked, got out into the light rain. "Hello, darling girl," she whispered, squatting down. The dog looked up with sad, beseeching eyes, her belly taut with pregnancy. Lisa instinctively reached out, offering the courtesy of a gentle touch. "You're not alone anymore." Without a moment's delay, Lisa scooped up the dog in a blanket and drove non-stop to the local vet's office. She had no idea how advanced the pregnancy was, or whether the dog had any underlying medical problems. But something was obvious. This dog needed saving, and Lisa was intent on saving it. A nervous visit to the vet. The waiting room was silent, save the hum of fluorescent lights. Lisa walked back and forth, while the dog, whom she had started affectionately calling Daisy, lay curled up in a corner of the room, her large belly rising and falling with every breath. When Dr. Matthews, the clinic's gentle veterinarian, finally called them in, Lisa swallowed hard. "We'll do an ultrasound so we can see the puppies, and everything is all right," he assured her. Lisa nodded and sat next to Daisy while the vet gently examined her. The machine turned on with a whir, and within moments, pixelated images began to flash on the screen. Lisa held her breath and watched closely. Dr. Matthews paused, his eyes growing wide with disbelief. This is amazing," he said, trying to frame the screen. "Lisa, you're not going to believe it." Lisa's heart pounded. "What is it? Are the puppies okay?" Dr. Matthews turned his head toward her, shock written across his face. "Yes, but there's more going here. Something I haven't seen before." Lisa's gaze darted between the screen and Daisy as her mind raced with scenarios. What can really be so surprising? Watching the ultrasound screen, time seemed suspended while Lisa tried to understand what she was seeing. Daisy stirred a little and gave a soft whimper, as if she somehow knew something momentous was about to unfold. Dr. Matthews coughed and cleared his throat. "Lisa, it appears Daisy is not just pregnant with puppies. This is something else." Lisa's hand reached out as if reflexively to stroke Daisy's fur. "What do you mean? Is she going to be okay?" Dr. Matthews nodded slowly. "She's good, but we need to examine it some more. This is a once-in-a-lifetime situation, it may be." With all that said, opening a wound with a gauzy mouth for the first time is the most thrilling. Whatever it is, we'll get through this together. That night, as Lisa stepped out of the clinic, Daisy following her, her head swarmed with questions, because she was ready, and she just knew they would find their way. Little did she know, it was only the beginning of an incredible journey, one that would warm hearts and encourage acts of kindness in ways she never would have dreamed of. The truth comes out when you least expect it. The following morning, when Lisa rose, she found Daisy snuggled up at the end of the bed, her soft breaths populating the sordid room. The previous day's events looped in her brain. Dr. Matthews' bewilderment, the odd ultrasound, the unknown yet to come. Wanting to know more, Lisa phoned the vet clinic and set up a follow-up appointment. "I can't just sit here and wonder," she said to Daisy, whose belly she rubbed lightly. "We're in this together." That afternoon, Lisa appeared at the clinic with Daisy shuffling anxiously at her side. They were greeted with a warm smile from Dr. Matthews. "Lisa, I've been looking at Daisy's ultrasound and I think we need to do some more scans." Lisa's heart raced as she nodded. "Please, whatever it takes. I just want her and the puppies to be okay." As the scanner slid across Daisy's belly again, the screen showed an even clearer image. Dr. Matthews gestured toward the screen. "There's some special thing about these puppies, their positioning, and there appears to be an anomaly near her heart." Lisa looked quizzically concerned. "An anomaly? What does that mean?" "We need to do more tests to be sure, but it could be something completely unknown," Dr. Matthews replied with a note of intrigue in his voice. Overwhelmed, Lisa called her friend and fellow dog lover, Amanda. At a local cafe, Lisa told me the news with a shaking voice full of anxiety. Amanda listened closely, then gave him a comforting smile. "Lisa, you have such a huge heart. Whatever the outcome, Daisy is fortunate to have you, and you're not alone in that." Lisa was buoyed by her friend's encouragement and felt invigorated, and so she did some research of her own, scouring veterinary forums and articles on canine pregnancies. The more she read, the more she understood just how exceptional Daisy's circumstance really was. Well, as Lisa was beginning to put the pieces together, her phone rang. It was Dr. Matthews. "Lisa, I've got some preliminary results. Can you come in tomorrow?" he said, his voice somber but measured. Lisa swallowed the knot in her throat. "Of course, I'll be there." She hung up and looked at Daisy, who was looking up at her with those big, trusting eyes. "We're going to figure this out, girl," Lisa said, stroking her fur gently, no matter what. That night, Lisa watched Daisy sleep and felt connected to her. Whatever tomorrow had in store, they would face it together, she knew. Little did she know the next day would deliver results that changed everything. Sometimes, the truth is stranger than we could have ever imagined. The following morning, Lisa entered the vet clinic with Daisy and felt her heart racing in expectation. The receptionist gave her a sympathetic look, as though she could see something of the concern behind Lisa's eyes. "Dr. Matthews will see you now." Lisa took Daisy to the exam room, where Dr. Matthews was already looking at the ultrasound images on his screen. He looked at her, thoughtful. "Lisa, you know, after doing a few more tests, we've verified something pretty extraordinary." Lisa held her breath. "Is she okay? Are the puppies healthy?" Dr. Matthews nodded, but didn't take his gaze off the monitor. "Yes, but what we discovered is unusual. Take a look at this." He gestured at the display where the silhouettes of tiny puppies were visible, with, in their midst, a faint outline of something else. Something that didn't seem to belong. Lisa squinted, searching to make sense of it. "What is that?" she whispered. Dr. Matthews inhaled deeply. "We think Daisy has absorbed an earlier litter, which very, very rarely happens in dogs. But what is interesting is how her new puppies are growing up with the remnants of the old litter in a way I've never seen. It's almost like she's carrying two babies in two different pregnancies in one body." Lisa stared in shock. "Is that even possible?" Dr. Matthews smiled slightly. "Every day, science surprises us. But the good news is, Daisy is one tough cookie, and we'll be keeping a careful eye on her to make sure all is well." The exhilaration of the stability and revelation of Lisa's case quickly faded as she left the clinic and drove away with mixed feelings of excitement and anxiety. She sat in the car, running her hands on Daisy's fur. "You are a tiny miracle, aren't you?" she whispered. Back at home, Lisa immersed herself in research, reading dozens of articles and researching online pet forums. Tales of dogs with unusual pregnancies were rare, but not unheard of. And she knew that Daisy's journey could inspire hope for others with complicated pregnancies, animal or human. Later that night, Amanda came over with takeout and a warm smile. "All right, spill. What did the vet say?" Lisa sighed, going through the extraordinary discoveries. Amanda listened wide-eyed and shook her head incredulously. "This is absolutely incredible, Lisa. You must tell Daisy's story. People need to hear with some encouragement." Lisa also created a social media page documenting Daisy's journey. She shared a photo of Daisy lying down, and the caption, "Introducing Daisy, our little miracle mama. We just learned she is actually carrying an amazing something. Stay with us to go after her story. Miracle Mama, Daisy Strong." The post took off within hours, with comments flooding in from people excited to follow along with Daisy's progress. As Lisa settled in on the couch that night, Daisy tucked close, her belly slowly rising and falling. Lisa said, whispering, "We're in this together, sweet girl. One day at a time." What Daisy didn't know is that her journey was about to impact lives in ways she never dreamed. When a miracle comes into your life, just hold it with open arms. As Daisy's pregnancy advanced, Lisa grew increasingly bonded to the golden retriever. She could see that every day, Daisy's body swelling, her movements becoming slower, her eyes deep with trust. Lisa kept posting about Daisy's journey on social media. What had started as a page to keep friends and family updated had garnered thousands of followers, each of them waiting to see a miracle unfold. Keen messages of support flooded in from around the world. One comment in particular stuck with Lisa. A veterinary student named Mia had been tracking Daisy's progress closely. "This case is incredible. Has your vet thought about getting a second opinion from a specialist in canine prenatal care?" Mia wrote. Lisa breathed on it and messaged Dr. Matthews with the suggestion. To his credit, he was already on it. A couple of days later, Lisa and Daisy called on Dr. Anderson, a specialist in unusual pregnancies. The clinic seemed bigger, more advanced, and a distinctly more professional environment. Dr. Anderson looked at Daisy with a combination of curiosity and concern. "This is an extremely rare case," she said, looking at the ultrasound scans. "Daisy's condition indicates something we term superfetation, so she could have conceived on 2 distinct occasions." Lisa's eyes widened. "Is that even possible?" Dr. Anderson nodded. "In rare cases, yes. But it's very important we keep a close eye on her to see she is going to have both sets of puppies develop in a healthy way. She's going to require a lot of extra love and attention going forward." Daisy's fur was stroked by Lisa gently. "We'll do whatever it takes." But as the days wore into weeks, Daisy's needs began to require more focus. Lisa rearranged her schedule to spend as much time with her as possible. She adjusted her work hours, created a cozy birthing space in her living room, and stocked up on health-conscious foods and supplements. She worked so hard, but there were times she wasn't sure. Daisy had trouble persuading herself that she could lie in one position all night. While she wrestled with this, Lisa felt a moment of panic. "What if something goes wrong?" she whispered to herself. A late-night phone call with Thomas, a longtime friend and fellow dog lover, eased her nerves. "You're making all the right moves, Lisa. Just trust the process," he told her. And then, one day, in spite of everything, Daisy greeted Lisa with an unsolicited blast of energy. She beatified her tail and nudged Lisa's hand as if to say, "I'm okay. We've got this." Lisa couldn't help but smile. "That's the spirit, girl." and so Lisa resolved to ignore the intimidating naysayers at least until after the big day. Whatever lay ahead, she knew that Daisy's strength and resilience would help them survive. When we least expect it, anticipation, whether good or bad, becomes reality. It had been quiet through the night, but Lisa woke to the sound of a gentle whimper from Daisy. Then her head snapped up and she caught sight of the little golden retriever, uneasily moving back and forth in her comfy nesting place. Lisa's heart skipped a beat. "Is it time, girl?" she said, reaching out to pat Daisy's head. Daisy's breathing had grown heavy, and her eyes were a mix of trust and anxious anticipation. Lisa picked up her phone and called Dr. Matthews immediately. "She's showing signs of early labor," Lisa said, her voice calm even as the emotions whirled around inside her. "Just take it easy and continue to watch her, Doctor," Matthews said. "If you see any distress or any complications, come in immediately." Lisa ended the call and knelt next to Daisy, muttering reassuring words. "You've got this, sweetheart. I'm right here with you." Hours went by, and Daisy's contractions became closer together. Lisa remained by her side, supplying water and soothing murmurs. At the first signs of labor, Lisa was awe-filling, but her real concern was worry. "Breathe, girl." Just like we practiced, she coached, recalling the birthing methods she had studied in recent weeks. Daisy grunted ever so slightly as she tensed. Lisa had her eyes glued, fingers tracing gently across the golden retriever fur. "You are incredible," she said in a whisper, the energy between them growing stronger. Just as Lisa thought everything was under control, a knock at the door startled her. It was Amanda with a bag full of supplies and a warm smile. "I thought you could use some extra hands," she said. Lisa looked at her with grateful eyes. "You have no idea how much this means." As a team, they functioned, with Daisy at ease and everyone preparing for the arrival of the puppies. In the background, Amanda had soft classical music playing, creating a peaceful atmosphere. Then came the tiniest of yelps in the room. Lisa's eyes widened as the first puppy entered the world. With tears in her eyes, she gently assisted Daisy in cleaning the newborn and wrapped it in a soft, warm towel. "You did it, Daisy." Lisa clapped quietly, tears coming to her eyes. Daisy was instinctively mothering the little pup, resting it close to her as she fought to stay awake. Amanda took a snapshot to remember the special moment. Each little miracle arrived one by one, the puppies. It was an arduous and exhausting process, but Lisa never left Daisy's side. With each new addition, her heart expanded with pride and love. By morning, Daisy was a bit weary but satisfied, her freshly birthed litter pressed against her. Lisa sat next to her, swept up in the wonder of the moment. "You're a mama now, Daisy," she said, wiping a tear from her cheek. "And you did a fantastic job." As dawn broke, Lisa and Amanda sat together in silence, watching as the tiny puppies nursed. "This is only the start," Lisa whispered. "A brand new chapter for Daisy and her littles." Amanda nodded. "And you're going to be the best mother they could ever ask for." Lisa grinned as love and fulfillment flowed around the room. Giving birth does not make you a mother. What makes you one is nourishing, protecting, and loving unconditionally. There were quiet whimpers throughout the house and the gentle sound of little paws rustling against the blankets. Daisy was a bit tired, but was adjusting to her new life as a mom well. Lisa sat beside them, admiring as Daisy cleaned and nuzzled each of her, and then each of her pups with gentle care. Amanda smiled, taking a sip of a cup of coffee. "She's a natural," she said in a whisper. Lisa nodded. "I never thought she'd be doing so well. They're all so little." so right. Daisy gave birth to 6 healthy puppies, all of them gorgeous in their own way thanks to their unique markings. Lisa had already begun naming them: Buddy, Snow, Daisy Jr., Lucky, Muffin, and Scout. Lisa's new days were now a blur, filled with feeding schedules, cleaning up messes, and making sure Daisy had enough time to rest and eat. Now, all the little barks and squeaks had filled the previous quiet home. Lisa maintained a journal, documenting each puppy's development and achievements. Today, Muffin opened her eyes the first time. She wrote excitedly, posting a photo on her social media page. The post went viral, and response flooded in to Lisa with messages from those offering support, advice, and even potential adoption. "It appears like these little guys are already stealing hearts." Amanda scrolled down the comments. "They take after their mama," Lisa laughed. But as much as Lisa was enjoying this new journey, it wasn't without its challenges. I could barely sleep, and ensuring all puppies received the help necessary wasn't easy. Then one night, Lisa noticed that Scout wasn't nursing as intensely as the others. She was terrified, but she carefully scooped the little baby up and moved it closer to Daisy. "Come on this way," she whispered. He finally latched on after what seemed like forever, and Lisa sighed. "I don't think I've ever worried so much in my life," she said to Amanda the next morning. "Welcome to motherhood," Amanda chuckled, "even if it's a furry type." Though it was late nights and stressful moments, Lisa's bond with Daisy and the puppies was only ever getting stronger. She felt a purpose she never had before, knowing she was actually helping in their lives. One evening, as she sat on the floor with Daisy snuggled next to her and the puppies asleep in a pile, she whispered, This is what happiness looks like." Daisy looked at her tired but satisfied, her tail fluttering on the ground. Lisa knew that soon she would have to start thinking about the puppies' futures, finding them loving homes, and ensuring they would be prepared for the world. But for now, she savored every minute, aware they wouldn't be this small forever. Growth occurs in the smallest moments, one small step at a time. Weeks passed, and Lisa became swept away in the breakneck changes Krista was making right in front of her. Daisy's puppies were getting big, scrawny little paws finding every corner of their snug nursery. The once quiet place they called home was a blooming oasis of energy and mischief. Lisa watched Buddy, the most adventurous of the litter, try to climb out of the playpen. "Not so fast, little dude," she laughed, then tucking him back among his siblings. Each puppy was starting to show his personality. Scout was the observer, Muffin was a cuddler, and Lucky always got into a little trouble. The milestones came at a daily clip. The puppies had finally begun to eat solid food. With this transition came an adorable but messy display at mealtime. Daisy monitored them proudly, sometimes intervening to hoover up the bits of kibble strewn on the floor. Lisa chronicled the whole thing, posting updates for her followers online. "OMG, first solid meal. Das train wreck, but they loved every bite." She captioned one clip, which quickly racked up thousands of views. But it wasn't a perfect race. Puppy curiosity knows no bounds. Lisa kept having to tell the puppies to leave the electrical cords and furniture legs alone. "Puppy-proofing the house was brilliant," Amanda said one afternoon as she assisted Lisa in rearranging. "Who would have thought they'd be this quick?" Through all this chaos, Daisy was still the ever-patient mother. She arched her back to encourage the little ones forward with her nudges, teaching them limits, as well as pumping up their self-confidence. Daisy had natural instincts, and Lisa often marveled that they seemed to know what to do. One evening, the puppies were wrestling. and Lisa watched as Daisy occasionally intervened when things got a little too out of hand. She hushed the situation immediately with a low, gentle bark. "You're amazing, girl," Lisa said, scratching behind Daisy's ears. "I'm learning so much from you." With the puppies gaining strength, it was time for their first official vet checkup. Lisa shoved them all in a carrier and drove to Dr. Matthews' clinic, stomach in knots with anticipation and nerves. "They all look healthy and strong," Dr. Matthews said after a physical exam of each puppy. "But it's time to begin to think about vaccinations and socialization." Richos nodded as she took notes on her phone. "I want to ensure they get the best start possible." Lisa was obviously thrilled with the progress of the puppies, but at the same time my heart ached a little. She also knew that in the near future she would say goodbye to them as they were placed in their forever homes. That evening, sitting on the floor with Daisy and the frolicking puppies, she confessed, "I just hope they get families that will love them as much as I love them." Daisy gently prodded her as though to say, "They will." Letting go is never easy, but love means giving them the best chance at happiness. As the days went by, Lisa knew that the time had come to say goodbye. Small, fragile puppies now swarmed the living room, romping with one another on the floor, eager to go out and explore the world beyond their little home. With every moment together, each one was scarcer than the last, and Lisa began to treasure even the most mundane conversations. One afternoon, as she sat and watched them wrestle in the backyard, her heart swelled with a bittersweet combination of pride and sadness. "You've all changed so much," she said, running her fingers through Scout's downy fur. "Soon, you'll be ready to find your forever homes." Lisa was aware of matching the puppies with the right families was very important. She dedicated countless hours to reviewing adoption applications, conducting interviews, and making sure that each adopter was aware of the responsibility of bringing a dog into their lives. Amanda, a constant source of encouragement, sat with her one night as they went through the applications. "Lisa, here are all these amazing people. These puppies are going to change lives." Lisa smiled, her eyes misty. "They deserve to be loved and treated the way they deserve, and so I just want them to be loved." And then there was one, a couple with 2 small children, and with a recently departed golden retriever beloved by all. "They look just right for Muffin," said Lisa. "I can already see her running around in their backyard." The day of the first adoption came sooner than Lisa had expected. When the family arrived to collect Muffin, Lisa hugged her tight, whispering words of love and reassurance. "You're going to have the best life, sweet girl." The children's faces sparkled with joy as they cradled Muffin in their arms. Daisy, tail wagging subtly as if she were blessing the endeavor, watched from afar. When they were gone, Lisa perched on the couch, a bittersweet ache in her chest. "1 down, 5 to go," she whispered, squeezing Daisy tightly. I knew Daisy and the puppies wouldn't have much time left with Lisa, and I was determined to make the most of it. They found a nearby park, and the puppies ran through the grass, tails straight out and ears flapping. Lisa took all of these moments as they happened, aware that in time, these memories would move to the back of her mind after the dogs are no longer there. This isn't their journey, and their journey only, she thought. It's mine too. As the adoption process unfolded, Lisa wrestled with one decision: whether to keep one of the puppies herself. Daisy Jr., a petite but spunky little girl, had won her over. "I don't know if I can let her go," Lisa told Amanda during a quiet evening conversation. Amanda smiled knowingly. Perhaps she's supposed to be with you. Some things just feel right. Lisa looked down at her own dog, Daisy Jr., who lay curled up next to Daisy and felt her heart tug. Maybe you're right. It's never easy, but change always provides new possibilities for growth and love. Tiny paws pranced around her, barking with excitement. The house was different now, quieter, with only a handful of puppies left to bounce around with their boundless energy. It had become harder to leave. Every time she said goodbye to the woman she had grown to love, more than she would have imagined, Lisa felt the bittersweet from her heart. With her morning coffee in one hand, she looked at the floor and saw Daisy, calmly watching over the remaining puppies. "We're almost there, girl," Lisa murmured, stroking Daisy's fur. "Just a few more to go." Adoption had had its challenges and its blessings. Lisa, though thrilled to find loving homes for them, had her doubts about how well they would adapt to their new lives. Her online followers bombarded her inbox with encouraging messages of support. "You're doing a great job, Lisa," one follower wrote. "These puppies are so lucky to have you." She drove home, feeling uplifted by their kindness. Well, as soon as she arrived at home, even with people around her, to know that puppies under wing, and decided not to look at the negative anymore, and trust that the families she selected would give the puppies the love and care they needed. All this time, Daisy was the rock of the entire journey, and the puppies passed through the door one at a time, and still she seemed to understand, quietly providing comfort. That evening, when Lisa was sitting next to her, she whispered, "You're amazing, you know that. I was able to do this because of you." Daisy responded by licking Lisa's hand softly, her tail lightly wagging. Then, the day of a special adoption had arrived. Buddy, the most lively of the litter, was about to meet his forever family. Lisa gently introduced them to Buddy, and the couple arrived with excitement, yet nervous. "He has a lot of energy," Lisa cautioned with a laugh, "but he's also got the biggest heart." Buddy happily licked their hands and wagged his tail, and Lisa knew it was a perfect match. "We'll take good care of him," the new owners promised, and Lisa felt a wave of relief, even pride. With fewer and fewer puppies to sell, Lisa began to contemplate the path that had brought her there. What began as an act of kindness had become a life-changing experience for this lady. She had learned those patience and resilience, but most of all, she had learned the depths of love without condition. That evening on the porch, she looked down at Daisy and Daisy Jr., the only puppy she had chosen to keep. "We did it, girls," she said, and for the first time, I felt truly proud of myself. Now that most of the puppies were in their forever homes, Lisa sensed a change in the air. The home was quieter, but echoed with memories of spirited barks, late-night snuggles, and the uncontainable delight of seeing the puppies develop. And she smiled, for she knew it was not the end, just the beginning of a chapter with endless possibilities. Life changes, but our love never does. With most of the puppies now in their new homes, the house seemed quieter. Too quiet, almost. Daisy Jr. sat at Lisa's feet, clicking her paws together as she played, and Lisa took another sip of her tea, watching her daughter. Daisy was lying nearby, a watchful mother but with soft and content eyes. Lisa took comfort in the fact that she had given the puppies the best opportunity in life, but the silence in the places they had once played was a constant reminder of how much things had changed. "It's just us now, girls," Lisa said softly, stroking Daisy's fur. "And that's plenty." With fewer mouths to feed and less chaos, Lisa found a new routine. Mornings turned into strolls, and in the evenings they curled up with Daisy and Daisy Jr. and watched old movies, absorbed by the serenity of their home. Life was quieter, but not free of challenges. Lisa had to stay on her toes with Daisy Jr., who was full of energy and curiosity. From chewing on shoes to stealthily taking treats off the counter, she was a ball of trouble. "You're just like your mama," the woman chaired lightly scolded the miscreant puppy as Lisa guffawed. Even though the puppies were not hers anymore, Lisa maintained connections with their new families. She was inundated with regular updates, photos, and stories of the puppies living their best lives in their new homes. One message especially moved Lisa to tears. It was from the family that adopted Buddy. They wrote about how he had helped their shy little girl come out of her shell, becoming her constant companion and source of comfort. Lisa wiped away a tear. "This makes all this worth it," she said to Daisy. Lisa said that despite everything that had happened, this journey opened up new doors for her. She was inspired by the experience and thought about becoming involved in local rescue work or even starting a small-scale fostering program. After she got in touch with Amanda, who encouraged her wholeheartedly, she started taking baby steps. "Lisa, you've already accomplished so much. Consider what else you could do." Lisa nodded, a surge of strength swelling inside her. "Well, maybe this is just the beginning." That evening, as the sun set, Lisa sat on the porch with Daisy and Daisy Jr. next to her. It was a peace she hadn't felt in ages. "We're going to be okay," she whispered, petting the top of Daisy's head. "And who knows what else we have up our sleeves." Daisy wagged her tail in response, and Lisa got that in that moment they knew they were exactly where they were supposed to be. When one chapter ends, another begins, filled with hope, love, and new adventures. People get closer to each other, and it's not waste that Lisa woke up with a purpose. But she knew the journey with Daisy and her puppies was just the beginning. So she thought it by time to take what she had learned and apply it forward. The silence in the house was no longer emptiness. It was a canvas that would soon be populated with new experiences and meaningful moments. That morning, as she drank her coffee and scrolled through messages from the puppies' new families, she kept reading a certain thing. So many people wanted to help more animals in need. Lisa paused, then smiled. "Perhaps I should take this passion to the next level," she said, gazing down at Daisy Jr., who was thumping her tiny tail in agreement. Lisa contacted her local animal shelter and inquired as to whether they had a need for volunteers or temporary foster homes, and the response was instant and enthusiastic. She soon found herself filling out paperwork and attending an orientation session. "Your experience working with Daisy and her puppies was ideal for fostering," the shelter coordinator said. "No, you'd say that if you knew. You're great." Lisa was fulfilled deeply in that huge place. "I'm here to help," she stated firmly. A week later, Lisa got a call about a dog who needed a temporary home. An old Labrador named Benny had been surrendered by his owner after he became ill and needed a quiet place to recover. Lisa received Benny as if he were her long-lost child, and Daisy, realizing that the older dog was weary, met him with cautious curiosity. It didn't take long for the two dogs to bond, and Lisa could see Benny's spirit lifting with each day that passed. "You belong here, even just for now," Lisa whispered to him one evening, petting his fuzzy ears. Lisa began utilizing her growing platform to educate her following about fostering and pet adoption. She posted Benny's story and encouraged others to think about opening their homes to animals in need. Within days, one of her followers expressed an interest in taking Benny. New York, where they lived alone, was out of the question. Messages of encouragement poured in. Lisa felt a mixture of sadness and joy, but knew in her heart that this was the purpose of her efforts, to provide a loving home for every dog. As Lisa got Benny ready for his new home, she thought of how she had changed in the process. She had become a master of context, of rolling with suggestions, of giving without anticipating, and of pleasure in the smallest of puddles. With tears in her eyes, she told herself, every new ending means a new beginning, as she watched Benny leave with his new family. She smiled at Daisy and Daisy Jr. And we're only getting warmed up. There are bumps along the way, but soon there comes a victory. Every day that passed, Lisa's dedication to rescuing animals had been growing. Having successfully placed Benny in a forever home, she said she was just more motivated than ever to help animals in need. But there were challenges, balancing work, personal life, and her newfound passion. One night, sitting on the couch surrounded by adoption papers and vet appointments, Lisa sighed heavily. Daisy Jr. hopped up into her lap to provide companionship. "It's a lot, huh?" she said softly, petting the pup's soft fur. The burden of responsibility could be crushing at times. Lisa doubted whether she was doing enough or whether she was in over her head. Fortunately, her support system, Amanda, Dr. Matthews, and her internet community remained steadfast. "Lisa, you're making a bigger difference than you realize," Amanda told her during one of their late-night conversations. "Just even saving one life is successful." Lisa took a deep breath and nodded. "You're right. I just want to give my best for them." Just when Lisa was getting her bearings, another phone call from the shelter came in about a frightened, malnourished stray named Rosie. Lisa wasted no time and offered to foster her. When Rosie came, she was shy and insecure, her ribs visible beneath her bony coat. Daisy saw that Rosie was scared and kind of laid down next to her as if to tell her, "You're safe now," G said. For hours, Lisa would sit with Rosie, handing her treats and whispering soft words of encouragement. Gradually, Rosie came to accept her new abode. After weeks of care and patience, Rosie was unrecognizable. New depths had spread across her previously vacant expression, tinged like an oil slick under an afternoon sun, and her tail waved with a post-adolescent pride. It made Lisa chuckle to see Rosie and Daisy Jr. playing together in the backyard. "This is why I do it," Lisa thought, referring to the overwhelming fulfillment she felt. Lisa kept posting updates about Rosie's journey online, and the reaction was overwhelming. Supportive messages and adoption inquiries came rushing in. There was one message that stood out to Lisa. It was from a woman who had just lost her senior dog and wanted to welcome another into her heart. The feeling was, after a series of heartfelt conversations, that Rosie had found her perfect match. Lisa was again confronting the same bittersweet emotions that letting go brought her as she got Rosie ready to come home. She knelt down beside Rosie, rubbing her fur in between the bumps on the weird thing. "You're going to be so loved," she whispered. When that day arrived, Rosie's new owner showed up with tears in her eyes, thankful for the opportunity to provide Rosie with a permanent home. Lisa, wiping her own tears while smiling as they drove away. "Another happy ending," she whispered. And sitting with Daisy and Daisy Jr. that evening, Lisa found a new sense of purpose. She understood that every goodbye, no matter how difficult, was one more step toward a better life for these animals. "We'll move on, one paw at a time," she said gently. "Every goodbye is the birth of a new hello." The soft morning light filtered through the curtains, bathing the still house in golden warmth as Lisa woke. Curling around her were Daisy and Daisy Jr., breathing in unison, a gentle cadence soothing to her spirit. But Lisa maintained couldn't shake the bittersweet feeling that settled deep in her heart. Rosie's absence left a hollow, an unspoken tribute to the myriad goodbyes she had dealt with on this odyssey. While brewing her morning coffee, Lisa scrolled through photos of Rosie. Her tentative first steps into the backyard, her anxious eyes slowly relaxing with trust, and finally, her exuberant farewell as she departed for her forever home. "I should feel proud, right?" Lisa snorted and raked a hand through her hair. Amanda's words rang in her ears, "For every goodbye, there's a new hell to be met." Still, though, letting go never felt any easier. Wanting to turn her feelings into something positive, Lisa set out to work on improving Daisy Jr.'s training and strengthening their connection. She had signed Daisy Jr. up for an obedience class, eager to give the dog new experiences and socialize her with other dogs. Being at their first session, Lisa had a few other dog owners around her, all with different stories. A kindly old man with a rescue husky, a young couple with their rambunctious lab mix, and a woman called Sarah, who, like Lisa, had recently begun to foster. During breaks, Lisa and Sarah exchanged stories, laughter, and a few tears. "It's tough, isn't it?" Sarah said as we watched their dogs chase each other. "Fostering changes you, but it's worth it." Lisa nodded, surprised by the sense of solidarity she hadn't anticipated. "It really is." Weeks passed, and then Lisa got an out-of-the-blue email from the family who adopted one of Daisy's puppies, Buddy. With it was an adorable photo of Buddy happily lying next to their small daughter, his eyes expressing love and devotion. Tears pricked Lisa's eyes as she read the moving missive. "We can never repay you for bringing Buddy into our lives. He's our daughter's best friend, and we can't imagine life without him." Lisa's heart swelled with pride upon reading such words. And while saying goodbye was painful, she appreciated how irreversibly she had changed these animals' lives. Just as Lisa thought life was becoming predictable, another phone call came in from the shelter. This time, it was a litter of orphan puppies who needed care. Lisa welcomed them without a second thought. When the tiny, fragile puppies showed up at her doorstep, Lisa felt the familiar flutter of excitement and nerves. Daisy Jr. smelled each one with curiosity, but gentleness, as if he understood they needed extra love and care. Where Daisy smiled at Lisa, however, Lisa smiled at Daisy. "All right, girl, looks like we've got our work cut out for us." Again, hours could pass as she fed the Noons with bottle tops and kept them warm. Each progress, an opened eye, a wobbly step, reminded Lisa why she started the journey in the first place. Following her social media updates, Lisa's followers rallied around her, making donations and sending advice and encouragement. "You're an inspiration, Lisa. Thank you for all you do for these animals," read one comment. The warmth and support from strangers turned friends made Lisa realize she wasn't in this solo mission. She had assembled a community of people as eager as she was. The puppies grew stronger with each passing day, but Lisa knew her journey was just beginning. Each challenge had made her stronger, more compassionate and determined to make a difference. On the porch with Daisy and Daisy Jr., she stared out at the sunset blissfully. "We've got this," she whispered, feeling more than ever the truth of it. Every ending is a new beginning, and love endures. Lisa on her porch, watching the sunset paint the sky gold. Daisy Jr. snuggled up next to her, a sweet reminder of their epic adventure together. The house, which had last contained a happy jumble of puppies, now felt peaceful, perhaps too peaceful. She looked out into the yard, thoughts flooding her brain. The sleepless nights, the first wobbly steps of puppies, the bittersweet goodbyes, each moment a reminder of the love and care she had given to Daisy and her pups. Lisa grabbed the photo album she had created, flipping through pages and pages of puppy milestones. There was Buddy, now with his new family in a household in which all were healthy and happy. Muffin, who was the heart of a small-town bookstore. And Scout, whom a retired couple had welcomed into their home. At the turn of each page was a story of love, resilience, and the gift of second chances. Tears welled in Lisa's eyes as she smiled. "We did good, Daisy," she said, petting Daisy's fur. Even with the house quieter than it had been for months, Lisa was aware her journey was far from complete. She had witnessed firsthand the difference one person could make, and was determined to continue making a difference within the animal welfare community. The shelter had already called her about another pregnant dog needing a foster home. "What do you think, Daisy?" "I'm ready to do it all over again." Lisa. Looking down at Daisy and Daisy Jr. Daisy wagged her tail as if to say, "Let's do this." Before embarking themselves on the next chapter, Lisa decided to meet some of Daisy's puppies in their new homes. She visited Buddy's house first, where the tail wags and happy kisses were plentiful. "He's been such a blessing," Buddy's owner smiled. "You cannot thank you for what you've done." Buddy was in the exactly right place, at the right time, and Lisa couldn't have been more proud. From there, she dropped by Muffin at the bookstore, where the little pup met customers with a happy bark and wagging tail. It warmed Lisa's heart to see Muffin flourishing in her new home. Lisa's own efforts had inspired so many others, friends, strangers who reached out on social media, even friends of friends. Some had begun fostering themselves, while others gave donations or volunteered their time at local shelters. Her inbox was inundated with messages of encouragement and thanks. One message read, "Your story has inspired me to adopt. Thank you for reminding the world that every living creature is worthy of love and a second chance." A tear rolled down Lisa's cheek as she realized that the journey she had taken had created a ripple far wider than she had ever imagined possible. And the world was just beginning to feel the effects. That night, as Lisa sat back on her porch, she was filled with a sense of hope and purpose once again. There would be more challenges ahead, but she was ready to meet them. "We have so much more love to give, don't we?" she said softly, as Daisy Jr. inched closer. Taking a breath, all Lisa did is smile, for she was ready to whatever adventures came their way. She had learned the essence of empathy, strength, and the healing nature of love. She knew that with every animal she saved, she was making the world a kinder place. And now, with Daisy and Daisy Jr. standing by her, she was ready for anything that came next.